God, I keep trying to figure out what's the best lighting setup. That purple is kind of intense on my skin there. What's going on, guys? Chris here, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're talking about the Canon R5, and I'm actually shooting on it right now in 8K, C-Log3 IPB light. This isn't a full review of it, but I'm gonna be talking about some major points that I like and some major points that I really don't like about the camera, coming from someone who shot with the Canon R6. I have my notes here with everything written down, so let's just get right into it. The first thing I noticed is the color science. Compared to the Canon R6, the Canon R5, in my opinion, has way better color science. Now, I know the whole debate about color science is kind of iffy, like what does it really mean? And isn't it kind of subjective, and can't you change it? And yes, it is subjective, and you can fix it in post-productions. But straight out of camera, the skin tones on the Canon R5 are way better than those on the R6. The R6 was good, but the problem with the R6 is it had a little bit of a yellowish green tint, kind of like the older Sony cameras, and I really didn't like that. And the whole white balance system was kind of off. The R5's colors are extremely realistic, straight out of camera, and they look fantastic. The next thing, I didn't really hear anyone talk about this, but it's an actual thing that I noticed, which is the battery life. The battery life on the R5 didn't seem that much better than the R6, but it definitely was. I got at least an extra 30 minutes on top of the 2 hours or so of intensely shooting like slow motion video in higher bit rates on the R5 for some reason. So yeah, better battery life. I don't know why, they use the same batteries. The R5 is definitely using more power. Maybe it's just more efficient at using the power. The next thing I really love about the Canon R5 over the R6 is the custom shooting modes. You can have 3 different custom modes set in the R5, which you couldn't do in the R6 for video, which is really convenient. Custom 1, I have it for 4K, 24 frames per second, HQ, for all my straight talking head stuff, vlogging stuff, anything in real time. And then custom 2 is already 4K, 120 frames per second. And then custom 3, I haven't really set it, but I might set it to 8K, or I don't know, I'll figure out a setting for that. But the fact that I can quickly go from one to the other without having to dive in the menus, which are a little bit annoying in this camera when it comes to switching from, you know, HQ 4K to 8K or regular 4K or slow motion, it's kind of tedious. So having the custom shooting modes is really awesome, and it's super fast. I don't know why that wasn't on the R6. Next thing I noticed, not a huge difference, but it does make a difference, is the larger LCD screen. The display on the Canon R5 is significantly bigger than that of the R6, I think about 0.2 inches or so. And you notice it a lot when vlogging. Here in my studio, I can easily see myself on the screen, which was a little bit more difficult on the R6. Next thing, really love, pretty obvious, high megapixel count. The R6 was about 20 megapixels and the R5 is 45, which is more than twice the quality. Where this comes in handy is larger prints or even upselling clients. I did a client shoot the other day and I was able to upsell them 2 different formats of the photo because I shot in landscape mode, but was able to crop a vertical section of it to sell them for Instagram or any social media that they need. So having the really large megapixel count is awesome. But in terms of other factors, I didn't really notice that much different in photo quality. I mean, yes, it was higher megapixels, but in terms of the color depth or anything else, it seemed pretty similar. Next thing, and the final thing that I really like about the R5 is that it has unlimited 4K shooting mode. And I'm not talking about the time limit, because I know all Canon cameras at this level still have the 30-minute record limit, but I'm talking about overheating. With the R6, technically, if you shoot for like 45, 50 minutes in 4K, 24 frames per second, eventually it would overheat. Never happened to me, but it would. In this camera, if you shoot in the regular 4K mode, which is line skip, you'll be able to shoot pretty much forever. And that is always something nice to have in case I need to do longer shoots. I know I have the option to have an unlimited shooting mode, because the 4K HQ, the 4K slow motion, the 8K, all those are technically supposed to overheat. Granted, I haven't gotten them to overheat yet, so I guess I'm kind of lucky, but yeah, it's just nice to have a mode that I'm 100% sure won't overheat it. Now let's talk about some of the cons, some of the things I don't like about the R5. And one thing is the fact that despite all the modes that the R5 has, it does in fact shoot a lower quality slow motion than the R6. Technically, there isn't a slow motion on the R5 that is better than the R6 in terms of quality, like sharpness. The 4K 60 on the R6 is downsampled from the 5K sensor, so it is a very sharp and crisp 4K 60. The 4K 60 here is the line skipped, and when you switch the R5 into HQ mode, you don't get the option to shoot 4K 60, and that's also the same thing for 4K 120. It is the line skipped 4K. So technically the 4K 60 in the R6 is sharper than any slow motion in the R5. Honestly, the 120 frames per second 4K in this camera is the only slow motion I use, and it looks amazing. Honestly, I don't really need any more. That's just something to keep in mind if you shoot a lot of 4K 60 and you want the sharpest quality possible. The R6 is a better option. The next thing I don't like about the R5 is the fact that it takes two different kinds of cards. So you have the SD cards and the CF Express Type B cards. Now the CF Express Type B cards, yes, although they are expensive and having an SD card is nice if you previously had SD cards, but I would still prefer two CF Express Type B cards so that you could keep it consistent. Because sometimes I forget the adapters I need for the different types of cards. So just having one type of card is really convenient. I missed that on the R6. I just brought all my SD cards, put them both in the camera, and I didn't have to worry about it. But now I have the CF Express Type B card, which I save for shooting 4K 120. And then I have the regular SD cards, which I try to switch over for like vlogging or anything with like a lighter format. So that's just something I kind of find annoying. Another thing I wish was better, but unfortunately it's not, is the IBIS wobble. The wobble is still there. It's something that I've kind of gotten used to, and I'm still learning ways to work around it, but it is something that's still there and it's still frustrating. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. This was just a quick video talking about some of the things I love and don't like about the camera. I think it is an amazing camera. I think there's no camera that really compares to it in its price range. I know a lot of people switch from this to the Sony a7S III, and rightfully so if you shoot only video, but if you shoot video and photos, I think there isn't any better camera. There's nothing you can do better than this. So thank you guys so much for watching. Chris here. If you enjoyed this, then definitely drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video, all right? Peace.